So I know at the end of my last video, I said that I'd probably get next one uploaded in a few days. No. I love procrastinating. Anyways, Shovel Knight. I beat it. I played just Shovel of Hope, which is sort of the main campaign where you play as Shovel Knight. Even though it's not my favorite one, it's sort of the original, true version or campaign, I suppose, of Shovel Knight. Had a good time with it. Great time with it, even. Well, one might hesitate to add. I mean, it's great. I love Shovel Knight. It's really good. It's very inspired by like Mega Man. Is probably its biggest inspiration. Even though I don't like Mega Man that much, I do like Shovel Knight. So it's basically an 8-bit platformer. It's not technically 8-bit. Technically, it does some stuff like shading that wouldn't have been possible on 8-bit consoles like an NES. But it's not like the type of thing that really takes you out of the experience. Like, for the most part, it is a game that you could have come out like on the NES, basically. Which is pretty cool. NES has some pretty good games. I'm not gonna say like really good. I think I like Shovel Knight more than any NES game that I've played, but you know, the 8-bit style is good. I feel like most sort of retro art style games go more for the 16-bit look, which is fine. I like it, but I feel like the 8-bit look can look really good when it's used by very clearly people who know what they're doing and who have a lot of passion for the style, like Yacht Club Games, the people who made Shovel Knight. It's yeah. I think I don't have a ton to say about this one. God, it was really fun. I like the relic system, where basically you have your shovel, of course, the titular shovel that is wielded by the titular knight. But then you also have sort of secondary abilities that require mana, but do other stuff. Like the first one you get is a fire wand, so you just shoot a fireball straight forward. Then there's some more interesting ones, like the phase locket, which you get in what can be your second level and just makes you go invincible for a few seconds. That's kind of the best one. But then there's the propeller lance, where it gives you a quick burst forward in momentum. What are some other ones? The anchor, a projectile that's thrown in an upward arc and does a lot of damage. That kind of thing. Pretty cool, well designed. I think basically all of them have a use, except for a few of them that's like, why would I use that? But you gotta have some stinkers in there to make it realistic. So the sort of Mega Man inspirations. There's armor system. In my opinion, a little underbaked, could be utilized a bit more. The armors basically give you unlock them relatively late in the game before you can change any of them, and then you can unlock all of them at once if you have the amount of money, a good amount of money for it. But basically just does the small thing. So the only one that I ended up using was you take less damage from enemies, but you have slippery physics, like Luigi, basically. And I barely even noticed the slippery physics most of the time. Or maybe it was take less knockback. Oh yeah, it's take less knockback, not take less damage. Still, I feel like that's probably the best one. It's one that gives you an upgraded shovel drop if you do it consecutively. The bosses are interesting. So, the first time I played Shovel Knight, I said the bosses are interesting. Now I'm going to stop talking about the bosses. I'll get to them. But the first time I played Shovel Knight, I found it really difficult, but now I just kind of get it. Like, I completed a lot of the levels in the run without even dying, and it still is more difficult than most, like, Mario games, but it's not too difficult, and the difficulty is in a fun way. It's not really super often where you die and you feel like it's not your fault, which I think is kind of the good standard for video games, where like that's why people like Dark Souls. I haven't played a Souls game. I'm planning on it, not for this project, but eventually. Where like you die a lot in Souls games because they're difficult, but it never feels like the deaths weren't your fault, basically. And it's sort of like that for Shovel Knight, except difficulty taken down a lot, and sometimes the deaths are like, really? But few and far between. And then the level design is good. All the levels are memorable. They're very different. There's not really worlds. There's just kind of pretty big levels that are very different in theme. Like there's a submarine, and there's a spooky graveyard, and a castle, and underground, and like a sort of volcano area, or in like a laboratory. So all the levels were really memorable. All the bosses, the other knights, are really cool. I like Tinker Knight, he's pretty cool. Stinker Knight, as I like to refer to him. Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, and King Knight, all are good, but that's probably just because they got fleshed out a lot more in their own campaigns. Yeah, and then the boss fights themselves, kind of okay, honestly. I liked most of them, but most of them kind of boiled down to just jump on them with the shovel until they stop moving, which is like fine. Their attack patterns are pretty interesting, a lot of them. I feel like Spectre Knight, I feel like should have been later in the game. Spectre Knight's level isn't too bad, but Spectre Knight, the boss, is pretty difficult, especially that early in the game you don't have a lot of health. But you know, whatever. I beat him eventually, clearly. Beat the whole game. Just a few days, because I think I was sick for most of when I was playing it. That's not the reason it took me a while to record the video. It's just because I procrastinated, and I'm bad at actually committing to recording the videos. Play the games just fine. I can do that. It's just recording the videos I have trouble with. But anyways, that's my game for 2015, Shovel Knight. Great game. Probably play it again. I've entirely 100%ed every campaign, and I had such a good time with it that I probably will do it again at some point. But if I do it again, I'd probably get it on the PlayStation so I can get the Platinum Trophy, because I like Platinum Trophies. But yeah, I do not own the 2016 game physically, but I am gonna take you on over to the TV to show you it. So let's go. My game for 2016 is Super Hot.